Mr. Vice President, great to see you.
Good morning. Thank you for
First
having
of
me.
all, congratulations. All right, has it sunk in yet? Hillbilly elegy.
Yep.
Now the Vice President of the United States of America.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. No, it hasn't sunk in. And, you know, I joke that I took 2 wrong turns and I ended up, you know, a hallway down from the Oval Office. And it's just an incredible thing. You know, the first time I'd ever actually been to the Oval Office was with President Trump as his vice president last Tuesday.
Never been there.
Had never been to the Oval Office.
Wow.
And, you know, he always talks about, you know, you have these executives, foreign heads of state. The Oval Office just has a particular power. And I certainly felt it. And it was just amazing to stand in that room. And I remember at the time thinking, I wish that I had something profound to say. And I just stood in there saying, wow, this is crazy, right?
No, I had the same experience when I went in. President Bush was in office at the time. And I remember, I thought it was surreal. I was like, is that really him?
Yeah.
And it is a special place. And then, of course, Trump has his little red button, which next to him, which is not the red button.
Which he screwed with me about that, actually.
Did he really?
Yeah, no, so we're just mid-conversation. I think we were with Senator Thune and Speaker Johnson, and he has this sort of beautiful, ornate wooden box on his desk with a red button, and he presses it.
Yeah.
And he just kind of looks over at me, and I'm like, sir, is that, did something bad just happen?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I just ordered a Diet Coke.
That's what it is. It's the Diet Coke red button, and it comes running in. Then he'll ask you, would you like one?
Yeah, exactly.
I've known President Trump for over 30 years.
Sure.
I've had a close relationship with him in all those years. And he and I, when he was going to run, thinking about running, we had arguments for hours deep into the night about, I said, I'm not voting for you if you're not a conservative. Mm-hmm. You really are now getting to know him very well.
Sure.
What have you learned about him?
Well, it's interesting. One, I've learned that he has the most interesting decision-making process of any person I've ever met. And I think it's what makes him such an effective leader is that when he actually is thinking about doing something, he doesn't just ask, like, you know, his closest advisor or some policy person. You know, if it's going to affect a business, he'll call the business's CEOs. He'll go and try to talk to the workers. He tries to take inputs from everywhere. And I think it's one of the reasons why he's so in tune with where the American people actually are. But it's also, I think, one of the geniuses of the way that he makes decisions is that he actually tries to talk to everybody. And that's something, honestly, I could write a book just about the way that he gathers information from all sources. Wow. And it's very unusual. I mean, in Washington, most politicians, you know, if it's a national security issue, they'll talk to their national security person and maybe, you know, somebody else in their office. If it's a business issue, maybe they'll talk to a CEO. The president talks to everybody, and that's a very, very profound thing about the way that he actually operates in Washington.
I would describe him as a force of nature, and there's nobody else like him.
Yes.
And I think in many ways he's misunderstood as well, because I know the personal side of him and I know the business side of him. And as we've seen hundreds and hundreds of executive actions, and you've been here barely a little over a week now.
Yeah.
Well, speed of light. It's speed of light.
You know, we've, I think, accomplished, honestly, more in 8 days than the entire Biden administration accomplished in 4 years. And, of course, the things that we're accomplishing are actually good things, and the things they were accomplishing were mostly bad things. But the president has incredible energy. I mean, this is something you hear other people say about him, and it's hard to really appreciate it until you're up close and personal. I don't know how much he sleeps or if he ever really sleeps. I mean, you'll get phone calls from him.
I can answer that.
Okay.
He doesn't sleep a lot.
You'll get phone calls at 1 in the morning, and he'll just, you know, he'll talk about policy and he'll talk about your family. And he just, there's something incredibly energetic about him. But you sort of need that, actually. The federal government has become so sprawling, and the bureaucracy is so unresponsive to what the president actually wants to do that you kind of need somebody in there who's constantly on. It's all gas, no brakes. That's certainly what we've seen in the last, you know, 8 days. I think that's what we'll see for the next 4 years.
You know, when you look at, for example, the 2 biggest issues in this campaign, immigration and the economy.
Sure.
And because that's impacting the people in Ohio.
Of course.
Right?
Yep.
That's impacting their life hard. And
That's
a lot of
absolutely
Americans have been really hurt. There was a study that came out, like 56% of Americans can't withstand a $1,000 emergency.
Sure.
You know, it would be devastating for them. That scares me. I've been there. I've lived there. I know you've been there.
Of course.
Not fun. Not where you want to be.
Not fun at all.
And when I think of you know, the issue of immigration in particular, I'm looking at, we have known terrorists in this country.
Yes,
we
we
have
do.
known cartel members, known gang members. We have known murderers, rapists. And I'm watching the reaction of the left and the left-wing media and the Democrats. And, you know, we're back to Nazi, fascists, Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini. And I'm like, what part of these other people are you missing?
No, it's totally crazy, Sean. And if you look, you know, there was the guy who went viral a few days ago that we deported, 17 violent criminal convictions, and was actually saying,
the guy from Haiti.
The guy from Haiti. Yeah. He was saying, I hate Trump, I love Biden because Biden wanted me to stay in this country. Is there a better endorsement of Donald J. Trump that a violent criminal who shouldn't be in this country doesn't like him because Donald Trump is actually enforcing the immigration laws of this country? And it's everywhere, Sean. It affects everybody from all walks of life. It's the drug epidemic, it's the crime, it's the fact that if you live along the southern border, you're affected by this cartel activity. I mean, we've seen, Sean, just in the last couple of days, multiple cartel members have fired at our own border patrol. And you ask yourself, why wasn't that happening a couple of years ago? Because they weren't empowered to do their job. The border has become so lawless that we're actually engaging in military-style engagements just to regain control of our southern border. And thank God we're actually doing it this time, because if we had another 4 years of Biden and the Democrats' wide open southern border, it would permanently and I think irreparably transform this country. So yeah, we're doing immigration enforcement in a big way. We're also doing things to lower the cost of energy, because of course, if we can lower the cost of energy, we're going to make food and housing, groceries, everything else more affordable for American citizens. And that really is, you're exactly right. That is the two prongs of the Trump agenda. We want to create more prosperity and we want to create more security. And we're doing a lot. We're going to do a lot more.
I want to ask about the economy in a second, but we saw Tom Homeland. I mean, I don't think there's anyone
Talk
more...
about a force of nature.
Yeah. I've tried to make him smile. I've had no luck. If you pull that off, that would be a miracle. But I've known him a long time. I have a great admiration for him.
Me too.
And almost 10,000 deportations, and some of the toughest criminals. Kristi Noem out on that ICE raid in New York yesterday. She was on TV with us last night. Amazing. 10,000 in a week. The president is looking for, what, 1,800 a day?
That's right.
And, you know, that's a pretty ambitious goal.
It's ambitious, but you need a leader who sets ambitious goals and actually holds people to meeting those goals. If you think we've got 20+ million illegal aliens in this country, we have got to get these people out of our country and regain control of our own border. And it's not just the people that we're deporting. If you look at the number of illegal entries on January the 19th, the last day of the Democrats' administration, I believe the number was north of 1,300 illegal entries. 5 days later, we had already cut that by more than 60%, and I guarantee we're going to cut it even further. Policy matters. Elections have consequences, and President Trump ran explicitly on regaining control of the border and redelivering American prosperity. That's exactly what we're doing. And it is funny, Sean, to hear the media and the Democrats howl about this and say, well, you know, this is bad, this is terrible, you know, this is, like you said, fascist, Nazi, blah, 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 blah. The president promised the American people he was going to do this. They gave him a mandate, so now he's doing it. That's how democratic politics in this country works, and thank God for that.
If I was in your position or President Trump's position, and I never will be, let's be clear, but if I was, I think what would keep me up at night is the fact that we have known terrorists in the country.
Sure.
And we have murderers in the country, and rapists, and violent criminals, cartels, and gang members, as I said. I'm worried about an attack on the homeland, Mr. Vice President. How worried are you?
Well, look, I am worried, Sean, because we were given a country with hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe more of known terrorists that are in the United States of America thanks to the open borders of the last administration. So it's our job to worry about it so that hopefully we can prevent that attack. So it's something that does keep us up at night. It's something that the government is working on very aggressively. We've got great intelligence services. We've got great border enforcement. We're trying to identify the bad guys and get them out of our country because, look, what you don't want to have happen, Sean, is let's say we take a foreign policy action that some foreign terrorist organization doesn't like. Well, now these guys, they're not in Syria or some foreign country. They're in our backyards. They're in our cities. We have to get them out to make the homeland safer, but also to empower the president to do the things that he needs to do when it comes to national security. So it does worry me, but we also have a government that's actually tackling this issue. It's getting better every single day.
How do we find them? I mean, you have known terrorists, but you don't know where they are. Known cartel members, but you don't know where they are.
Well, it's crazy, Sean. Sometimes you're right. We don't know where they are. Sometimes we actually do. And that's one of the craziest things of the last week. Just for me, you ask what is shocking to me, it's that many of these violent criminals, we knew their addresses, we knew their names, we just needed to send somebody to go to their house and get them the hell out of the country. That really should shock the American people.
We've known where they are?
Exactly.
And we've known they've had terror ties?
We've known at least that they had violent criminal backgrounds, and we haven't done anything until about 8 days ago when Donald Trump became the President of the United States again. It really should shock the conscience of the American people. One of the things you heard on the campaign trail, one of the criticisms of me and of the president was, well, yes, we have 20 million illegal aliens. We have, close to 1 million violent criminal illegal aliens, and we don't know where they are. It turns out we actually do know where a lot of them are. We just haven't had immigration enforcement, and that's what's changed so radically.
That actually gives me hope that we can protect the homeland, because I would imagine if you're a terrorist and you're in our country, you're not here to pursue a better life for you and your children.
Right. Yeah.
You're here to plot, plan, scheme the next attack on our homeland. And I lived through 9/11. I don't want to live through that again. I don't want to lose 2,977 Americans again.
Yep.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.